FBI agents have filed a massive class action lawsuit against the Department of Justice and the Trump administration for the Trump administration's attempted purge and ongoing purge of FBI agents. Specifically, in this class action lawsuit, they are requesting an injunction stopping the Department of Justice and, by virtue, the FBI from gaining access to lists and data about which FBI agents had involvement in January 6th related investigations. Now, you will recall that Donald Trump and his Department of Justice is conducting this purge of FBI agents who had anything at all to do with January 6th related investigation. So if you were investigating the Proud Boys, if you were investigating the Oath Keepers, if you were ordered to investigate, remember, FBI agents are assigned their cases. They don't get to pick which cases, but those who are protecting and preserving law and order are now getting fired without due process at all. And this class action is seeking to stop the procedures that are allowing this data to be obtained by the Trump administration. In this complaint, and has these harrowing words, should this information fall into the wrong hands, the national security of the United States would be severely compromised. Now, these FBI agents are so worried about security, about their security and identities, they filed this lawsuit, this class action complaint, under pseudonyms. They're being identified as John Doe and Jane Does 1 through 9 and potentially others. They're not putting their names on it. Just think about that. FBI agents are so worried about their safety and what's happening to our national security that in their own class action, they're not putting their own names to the complaint. Let's bring in Harry Littman, former top federal prosecutor, former United States attorney from the Western District of Pennsylvania. Harry, break down this class action complaint. What's going on here? What's going to happen next?
Yeah, a lot is going on. And on the one hand, there's actually some concrete pushback, and it's going to involve the courts, right? And not just any courts. The district court for the District of Columbia, the very court that tried all of these January 6th offenders and called them out for who they were and told Trump not to pardon them, which he did anyway. Here's what's going on. The FBI has partially capitulated. So the henchmen, the new Trump enforcers at the DOJ, have given an order to the FBI, and the DOJ nominally supervises the FBI. Tell us everyone who has worked on any January 6th case. And Ben, it's so much bigger than, even you pointed out, because remember, they had to go all over the country for years. They still haven't found everyone. Any witness interview, any search warrant, any arrest with a big arrest team, any kind of thing that touched on different districts, that we have over 5,000 names that the FBI, in fact, has turned over dutifully to the DOJ. They have them now, and the worry under there's going to be 2 complaints, but this first one, as you say, the class action John and Jane Does, they're saying with their violations of due process, et cetera, but they did a very, I think, wise thing. They included the Privacy Act, because they're saying if you give any of our information out, who we are, et cetera, that could expose us to danger as well as the national security. And the Privacy Act includes criminal penalties, misdemeanors for fines, and up to 12 years in jail for people who violate it knowingly. So they're coming to the department and saying, stop the music right here. You go forward and share these with anyone else, any Trump allies, et cetera. That's going to violate the Privacy Act and the Constitution, and they're looking for the court to say that. Now, this is not simply idle speculation. We know that some of these folks, including the interim U.S. attorney in D.C., who is a noted election denier, raised money for the January 6th offenders. He's trying to ask MAGA types, hey, tell me who are some of the FBI people who were involved here. And in general, you see what Trump is doing with Elon Musk, who is, seemingly running the government, having access to everything, shutting down agencies as he will. In other words, and that's part of the lawsuit, there's very concrete reason to say, do not in any way distribute this or do anything with it for now. Now, that's their first kind of stop the music move, this Constitution plus Privacy Act. Now, in addition, it appears as if the FBI Agents Association, a whole association of former agents, and others, individuals, will be getting into the act about the actual idea of the reprisals, as have certain people now with the Department of Justice. So we're having real pushback. We've seen pretty much Trump and Musk have their way over the landscape in the last few weeks. And the thing that is the best hope for pushback has been the federal courts, independent federal courts, to the extent they are uncompromised. And here is a highly public effort by very prominent lawyers to invoke just that. Come on, courts, get into the act. Tell the DOJ to stand down. They are violating the law, and enjoin what they're trying to do. So, it goes to the heart of it. But this whole operation, imagine, just as you say, I mean, not only did they follow their oaths, this crime we all saw take place in front of the country. It was a crime against the Constitution, as well as against individuals. It threatened the most important part of democracy, the peaceful transfer of power. And now they are converting it not only into a non-crime and calling the perpetrators patriots and great Americans, but they're literally looking to punish, as if they had committed treason, the FBI agents and law enforcement personnel who, yes, were ordered to. But even if they weren't, thank God that they did exactly what they did. Could you imagine what they must essentially be saying is, we should have seen this all transpire in front of our eyes, and the FBI and DOJ should have said, oh, no, just a bunch of heroes assembling peacefully, and we don't care, and we'll give it a pass. There's such a kind of corrupt, rotten lie at the core of it. But now there is the most effective pushback, I think, and in the first instance, going to independent trial level federal courts and saying, enjoin their action. And this edition of the Privacy Act, which is putting them on notice, you let this stuff out, you play around with the MAGA crowd and Elon Musk, et cetera, you're violating the law and you're personally liable. That's a nice feature. This is all going to happen very fast, the motion for the TRO and the like.
Now, Harry, we saw another Privacy Act 1974 violation case brought by the SEIU, AFL-CIO, and another important union. They filed against the Department of Treasury for handing over to Elon Musk the personal data, social security numbers, medical files, you name it, anything where the government transacts, loans, what have you. The transaction payment system was allegedly turned over to Elon Musk as Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary's first act. There was the reason we even found out about this is because the acting leader, who was then fired or constructively discharged and put out of the Treasury Department, told the public what had went down. That individual resigned, was pretty much forced out, had no option. And that's how we found out about that data breach. But that affects all Americans. Now we're seeing the Privacy Act of 1974 being invoked by these FBI agents. And, you take a step back, you look at this from 30,000 feet up. This is extraordinary. FBI agents are bringing a class action. Could you imagine if the police department was bringing a class action, let's say against the mayor for violating the law? I mean, let's think about it. The FBI is suing the Trump administration for essentially trying to kill them, getting their information out there to endanger the family themselves of our FBI agents who don't just handle January 6 cases. They deal with the trafficking cases, the drug cases. You know, MAGA Republicans want to talk about Canadian fentanyl, which is like literally zero. These FBI agents are the ones in the streets trying to get fentanyl off the street from the real sources and the real dealers in America of these synthetic drugs. These are the people stopping murderers, criminals, terrorists, and the Trump administration saying, nope, we're pro-terrorist now. We support the bad guys. Harry, let me give you the final word.
Yeah, look, it is breathtaking. And I just want to say again, at least the battle is joined, but it's a battle now. The current sitting special agent in charge in New York says, I'm with you and I'm going to fight. I mean, this is really going to be a test in some ways of whether Trump has succeeded in devaluing and fooling the American people into thinking that the FBI is a bunch of, hooded, jackbooted thugs and part of the deep state. But just another thing about Musk. It is mind-blowing that he's now got the keys to the kingdom, among other things. He and what we're told, and Bessent has seen, I think it's been confirmed that he penetrated it along with his very helpful, huge band of helpers. Well, no, 6 23-year-olds or so who are just mucking around in every American's information. And this is a guy, I think Trump is maybe going to try to give him some sort of perch to make it seem quasi-legal. But I'll tell you this, if he's got huge conflicts with China, with Russia, our adversaries, if he's going to be a government employee in some way and completely, unelected, nobody bargained for this, I want to see that financial disclosure form that'll tell us about all the conflicts. But yeah, I mean, so it's really important that one organ of government, one of the checks and balances, the others having been for now neutralized by Donald Trump, is getting into the act. But it's really important that there's a public kind of brouhaha, and FBI agents, current, former, and, are really standing up. They are, by the way, infuriated and really terrified about what is happening to all their jobs. This is the thing they try to do again and again, is terrorize some. And we're talking 5,000. There are 13,000 agents in the entire FBI. But then make everybody else nervous and afraid and, avoid their neighbors. It is so pernicious. And as you say, I guess I will end here, Ben, unbelievably short-sighted. There are crimes on the street that the FBI handle every day. It's the nation's probably premier federal law enforcement agency, and they are just being decapitated by what? A huge lie to try to make us all believe somehow that the January 6th attempted insurrection was the work of patriots and heroes. This, at the end of the day, is a huge cultural war that, that the patriots, I think, are going to win and have to win. Otherwise, Trump takes this complete false version and uses it to grab more and more and more power. We are really in the thick of it.
We've been telling people for years, take this seriously. Listen, when he's making musicals with the J6th choir and replacing our national anthem with a song that he made and makes money off ostensibly with the most dangerous January 6ers, don't you think when he's in office, he's going to do some dangerously crazy stuff? And for all the people who just thought these were just wacky things, well, you're seeing him do it right now. And if there's one consistency in what he's doing, he's helping the bad guys and hurting the good guys, whether that's internationally hurting our friends and allies and propping up the dictators, whether it's domestically, picking on the most vulnerable, attacking law enforcement. Wake up. This is not a political issue of Democrats v. Republicans or independents. This should not be political. It just so happens Republicans have been captured by MAGA, and this is who they are, but this should just be common sense stuff. Well, Harry and I will keep talking about it every day. You got to subscribe to Harry Litman's YouTube channel, the Talking Feds YouTube channel. He's got a Substack, the Talking Feds Substack, and he's got a podcast, the Talking Feds podcast. It's where I get all my legal news from. You should as well. Remember, Talking Feds, search it on all platforms. Thanks, Harry.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.